What is going on, everybody? It's KB. Before the episode starts, make sure you go check out StreamerSZN's brand new theme music. That's right. We have full-time, brand new theme music thanks to the newest homie and newest member of the music side of Underground Sports Philadelphia homies. That is Mobley. Stay Volk. His new single is out now. It is linked in the description on YouTube, and you'll be hearing it on audio until we can figure out if we can play it on video on StreamerSZN episodes from here on out. That's our new theme music. Stay Volk. Go download it now wherever you get your music, and go check out the music video on YouTube. But now, let's get into the episode of StreamerSZN.
Philadelphia, baby, you're gonna love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
A triple box on StreamerSZN?
In this economy?
How are we doing this? What is going on, fellow streamers? Welcome into another edition of StreamerSZN, the exclusive streaming platform, TV and movie podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. It's KB, it's Christian, and Harrison, all on one screen. No segmented portions on today's episode.
Nani?
We are back, better than ever. And as we said pre-recording, it is the two strongest members of the Underground Sports Philadelphia class of 2021 internship.
Avengers assemble.
We've survived, we've thrived, and now we're here.
Hoorah.
We have a very fun show as Daredevil Born Again is finally here. We are going to break down the premiere first two episodes, give our takes, our thoughts, our theories, all that good stuff. And then we will dive into recapping the Oscars and everything that went down there. And then we will get into everyone's favorite segment, the Streaming Platform Multiverse News and Notes, and dive into all the latest from around the TV, movie, and entertainment space. But before we get started, make sure you guys are following us on the socials at StreamerSZN and StreamerSZN Pod on TikTok. Subscribe to the pod on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts in audio form. Leave us a 5-star review. It goes a long way for helping this show continue to grow, helps more people find not only StreamerSZN, but our entire network of podcasts. And of course, subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, youtube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia. That is where you get full video episodes of this show every week, full video episodes of every show on our network, clips, shorts, live streams, original video content. It is all on our YouTube channel. We are 70 subscribers away from our next goal of 1,100. Let's get to that 1,100 mark on our YouTube channel. Leave a like on the video, drop a comment in the comment section, and click that bell icon so you know whenever new videos go live. Fellas,
Hold on, just on that server note. Right now, the real challenge is with all these shows coming out, when's Kyle gonna have time to watch Game of Thrones?
I did declare that I would soft launch start watching as soon as March Madness was over.
Okay.
So right when we're in the middle of Andor and
right in the thick of it. Right in the thick of it.
Is that the thick of it? Into the thick of it? Harrison, we've never been on a pod together, but you were going to quickly learn how diseased pop culture brained I am. You were going to quickly learn, my friend.
Don't worry. So it was funny you went with Into the Thick of It, because that is one of the top played songs at the bar I work at, actually. We love the Artigans at Upstairs Pub.
Do we have enough 5-year-olds there?
21-year-old 5, yes.
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 What an incredible episode this is going to be.
We've done this to ourselves, Kyle. I can't wait.
We have done it to ourselves. It is time, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for Daredevil Born Again on the Disney Plus. Basically, a revival of the Netflix Daredevil series. We'll dive into our thoughts on all of that. But overall, I'm just happy to have Charlie Cox, Vincent D'Onofrio back on our screens as Daredevil and Kingpin. I'm happy to have the street level of the MCU back in the fold. I'm happy that we have New York truly portrayed as New York, and we don't have
Georgia playing New York.
Yeah.
Atlanta playing New York.
We don't have every storyline predicated on giant eyeball aliens and witches and sorcerers and giant
And celestials and
celestials.
celestials coming out of the Pacific Ocean.
And, you know, it's just good old fashioned gritty street level crime lawyer, just beautifulness. And I gotta say, watching those first 2 episodes as we record this on a Wednesday, watching them last night, I genuinely could not believe how well they did these first 2 episodes. Now, I will say, I know they did a bunch of recalibrating of the show because they brought back Foggy, Karen, and a whole bunch of other characters. So I'm assuming that first episode they kind of just redid the quote unquote pilot. And then we ended up getting the pilot we got, which, like, number one, thank you for a 1 hour premiere episode of a Marvel show on Disney Plus.
Mm-hmm.
Number two,
and it was basically an hour. It was not 45 minutes and then 15 minutes of credits, and it was like a 57 minutes or 56 minutes or something like that.
I was like watching, I was like, damn, there's a lot going on. And that first act of the first episode, which we will get into in depth, I was like, I thought that was just the episode. And then it cut to the opening credits, and I was like, holy shit, this is where we're going with this show. We are unbelievably back.
That first act could have been an entire first episode in and of itself. They didn't need to like fit it into 20 minutes, but it felt like it was a whole hour. Mm-hmm. That 20 minutes felt like 60, and it was just unreal to watch. I was telling you before we started recording, but I got home from work last night and like sprinted inside my house. I was like, I need to watch this. I need to see Mr. Murdoch and Mr. Fisk and everybody just back together again. And they did not let me down. It was beautiful.
So I'm going to add this caveat at the start of the discussion that I made a purposeful choice to have never had consumed any Daredevil full episodes. I do know. I have a loose understanding of the original Daredevil series, all the wonderful bloodiness of a Mr. John Bernthal and other assorted things. So I'm taking this, as I try and do with a lot of things, as a like more of an outsider, just straight up critical point of view, rather than the MCU person point of view.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just dropping that warning in now.
That's what we're here for, because I'm a certified Daredevil sicko. And
hold on. Certified devil boy, certified.
Oh, God damn it!
Cut up the screen from the final part of episode 2. Just cut that in instead of the wop wop wop.
You're welcome, Kyle. You now have your social clip. Sorry, I as soon as you said that, I was like, I have to uncork this. It just popped in my head right away.
Kendrick on the mind.
Oh, that was perfect. That was so perfect.
Certified devil boy, certified.
I'm gonna fuck him up.
Pop, 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 pop.
I'm gonna do myself.
But
anyway,
before we get into the breakdown of the show, Harrison, I'll start with you being a fellow Daredevil Sicko. Just your thoughts on the approach and how those first 2 episodes were portrayed and how they kind of come across as the continuation of the Netflix era of Daredevil alongside some of the changes that were good, some of the changes that were kind of like head scratchy a little bit that we may get more answers on, but just your initial like takeaways before we get into the in-depth stuff.
So I really did feel like this was a very faithful carryover from the Netflix era. A lot of the shots, a lot of the action felt very reminiscent of the Netflix show. The one thing that was a lot different from that era is the fact that Marvel has more money involved in this now and can do the crazy shots of Daredevil running around on the rooftops and flying around and just doing the acrobatic stuff we didn't really get to see him do as much of in the Netflix series. That was more him down on the ground, beating the hell out of people with his fists. We didn't get to see him do much traversal, and we definitely saw a lot more of that in the start of this new Born Again series. The characters feel the same. Like this isn't a different version of Matt Murdock. This isn't a different version of Wilson Fisk or Foggy or Karen or any of them. These are all the same characters we got to know and love in the 2015 show. And have they grown a bit? Yes. Will they continue to grow? Yes. But they still have that same heart and feeling. Like there's a point in the first episode where Wilson Fisk is going through his morning routine, and it was the same morning routine he went through in the 2015 show. Matt's morals are still the same, even though he's gone through a hell of a lot in his life in the start of the show that I won't get into yet because we haven't given the spoiler warning quite yet. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. All the new characters introduced too feel like they're going to be great additions to the mythology. I'm especially vibing with White Tiger, who we will get into shortly here. I think he's a great introduction, and I'm excited to see how his arc is going to play out over the course of the season. But the real star of the show is, again, Matt Murdock and Wilson Fisk. They have an interaction that is just fireworks.
One comment I would like to add, just off of something you, one thing you said about the Wilson Fisk opening and his morning routine. I really appreciate, just from a cinematic point of view, how they did the juxtaposition of Matt into Wilson. That's a very just as a moviegoer and as a movie fan and a little bit of a snob. I'm like, nice, good job there. Good filmmaking.
That's something they've always done so well too, because the thing about Matt Murdock and Wilson Fisk is they are two sides of the same coin. They both do care about the city in their own ways, but the love for the city runs deep. They want to help the city, but Matt wants to do it from a more selfless perspective, whereas Wilson Fisk, as he says in the episode, is a very self-serving man. And that's where their differences come into play.
Yeah. I was just blown away from the perspective of everything we've gotten post Endgame in the MCU. We talked about it ad nauseum on this show.
Mm-hmm.
There's that clear like tier ranking of Marvel projects on Disney Plus and clear ranking of movies that have come out since Endgame. And not saying that they're all necessarily bad, but you can tell Marvel's been in this like slump. And to have the attention to detail on so much, to see enhancements from the Netflix era on this show to where we are now, and to, like you said, Harrison, like you get enhancements because you have the Disney budget, and not every show we've gotten post Endgame and movie post Endgame has gotten that Disney budget treatment in terms of oh, we're going to make sure that this show has this, and this. These first 2 episodes that I watched last night, they are giving Daredevil practically whatever it needs to succeed. And obviously a lot more remains to be seen from the future episodes and what we get in season 2 as well. But these first 2 episodes, like, my jaw was on the ground for a majority of episode 1. And then episode 2 really brought us back to what I felt like was season 2 of Daredevil on Netflix, with the courtroom, with the kind of juxtaposition of battling between vigilante and really good lawyer. And I felt like, in a lot of the shows and a lot of the movies we've got, and Christian and I have discussed this too, like, it's almost felt like Disney and Marvel have tried to overdo things for the sake of living up to the end game spectacle. And this show, based on not only what I watched, not what you watched, but also what we're getting from a lot of the critical reviews of everything, it's hitting the mark in so many ways. And I'm intrigued to see how Christian perceived his just overall thoughts, being a non Daredevil watcher, like in the weeds like we are.
Which is part of the reason why I'm doing this.
So Christian, again, your overall thoughts, I'm chomping at the bit to hear them.
I'll save certain comments for the specific episodes, but 2 episodes in, I like this version of ground level more, because even though we had it in Echo, something always just felt a little off. With that. To me, I could never quite place it. It was trying to do something that almost felt like a little too much, but also too little. I don't know how to phrase how I felt about Echo, but in terms of this, as someone coming in on from the outside and knowing loosely the Daredevil mythology and getting some of it from doing Echo with you, I'm pleased by this, where I'm specifically, and when we get to talk about the first episode, this is one of the most competent looking MCU shows, period, end of story. Namely, just, I don't know, the last 5 to 10 minutes of the first episode, when we get to it, specifically with lighting, I'm just like, yes, like, this is, I've been missing this in these shows. And obviously we'll get more into the story, and I'll save some comments about how character X or character Y, but overall, there's 12 episodes of this?
9 this season and 9 next season, and then they're planning to do annual releases. So season infinity incoming.
I'm sure there's going to be a Daredevil movie or like a Defenders or Street level movie at some point too.
They're becoming a little more stingy with movies. I don't know. But I don't put this. Even with how Secret Invasion started, and again, this is already a poor start to a sentence.
I was gonna say, where are we going with this?
That show started so good and ended in the dumpster. On pure quality, there's no way the show's ending in the dumpster. No. So I'm interested in seeing how we end up as I'm not a comic book consumer, and I'm not a Daredevil and MCU and etc. lore smith. We're obviously going to have the Fisk Mayor arc, and something will go wrong. As we say in Philly, anything that can go wrong will go wrong. Something will go wrong, and he will end up out of office by the end of the season. How that happens remains to be seen. How Bernthal gets dragged into this remains to be seen. How Matt ends up putting the mask back on remains to be seen. How we deal with this trial stuff remains to be seen. But we have an idea of certain endpoints. There's a competent level of filmmaking, and I trust them to at least give me on a critical scale, because I'm viewing this as an outsider, like at worst a 7 out of 10 show. Like that's what I'm looking for out of this because of the state of MCU TV in my book, and I feel like we're gonna get there. So I'm excited.
Now I do have. Oh no, go ahead, Harrison.
So one thing that really intrigued me in this process is that this is the first Marvel TV show since the Netflix era to not have movie people running the scripts and running the show. This is straight television people. And I think that's what's going to bring this a step above the Secret Invasions, other shows of that ilk. They're just the mediocre run-of-the-mill Marvel television that we had been getting apart from, X-Men 97. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing how this season is going to play out. And I agree with all your takes on the situation, too, because Matt's going to put the cowl back on. Fisk is going to be run out of office. And I think if we can take anything from Chip Zdarsky's run on Daredevil, which, again, I said this last week, I think that is the comic run this run will be drawing a lot from. This will not be the Daredevil Born Again that was written by Miller back in the 80s. This is going to be based off Chip Zdarsky. I feel like we're going to get Devil's Reign out of it, which is when Wilson Fisk as mayor cracks down on vigilantes. And I feel like there's going to be another crime family that's about to pop up. I don't know when, I don't know where, but this crime family is going to be what sets him back over the edge. And anything like the run by Zdarsky, it's going to be bloody, it's going to be violent, and it's going to be brilliant. And I cannot wait.
My big question that I have before we do get into the breakdowns, though, fellas, prediction, thought on timeline. Obviously, we do get one singular time jump in this show, which we'll get to. When did Matt Murdock and She-Hulk do the nasty? Was it prior to the 1 year later, or was it after the 1 year late? When did Matt find the time portal to go to San Francisco and hook up with our girl Jen?
It was prior. It was definitely prior. Because he was wearing one of the suits that he got from Luke, or what's his name?
Yeah,
Luke Jacobson or whatever his name is. In the opening scene, he's wearing one of the suits he got. So,
I mean, I was just gonna say that it occurred during the prior Daredevil show, or something like that, because I don't think even during this 1 year gap that he's putting that suit back on.
No. So it either has to predate that when he's still theoretically, what was it, CW, Fox? I don't know. I Netflix. It was Netflix.
Netflix. When he was Netflix Daredevil.
Yeah.
Or it's either some point, let's just say, after the end of this first season.
And he was way too happy when he was doing the nasty with She-Hulk. That could not have been
that's my whole thing here is like he was in too good of a mood, so it's no way it could have been in that 1 year period. So it either has to be when he was Daredevil in the first shot or at the end of this.
Yep.
That's very true. People are wondering though, when did the Devil and the Hulk go down to Georgia, or in this case,
Easy
go to LA?
Easy there, Quagmire.
Giggity. So, Christian, you are accustomed to doing the spoiler warnings. I will also follow up with the spoiler warning.
Okay, hold on. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your spoiler warning for Daredevil Born Again episodes 1 and 2. If you could all please, if you haven't watched this week's episode already, please hit pause, watch the episode, and then come back and enjoy our vigilante-hating insanity. Thank you from your mayor of New York, who's really the president of the United States.
Now I'm here to deliver a message.
Easy there, Richard Nixon. Easy there, Richard Nixon.
I am declaring my candidacy for mayor.
I'm not a crook. I'm not a crook.
I'm going to therapy so I don't lose my wife.
My wife?
It's not entirely unpleasant.
Hold Wilson, that's my wife. Wilson, my wife. Not yours. She's mine now. This is going to be such an unproductive pod.
Yeah.
The sandwich was horrible. Well, no shit, Wilson. You went to fucking Geno's. Let's get into it.
That's the biggest crime he committed in the episode. We'll get to that, but like, you went to fucking Geno's, you dumb fuck.
You couldn't even go to Woodrow's? You couldn't even go to Jim's on South Street and drive an extra 5 minutes?
Hey,
5, 10
Check out. A villain going to Geno's checks out in so many ways. It's like a villain having to use an android.
See. The real question is, why did he only get one sandwich?
Because he's on that weight loss diet right now. He's only trying to eat one.
Yeah,
That's the real question. Is Wilson Fisk on? Is he on Ozempic, Wegovy, or Roe?
And did he get lap band surgery?
No, he's actually on it's a really new diet. It's called taking 2 bullets in each of your eyes.
It's called getting an eye transplant.
Yeah. And since we're fully into spoiler territory now, it's also your wife cheating on you while you're recovering from said
That's also true.
bullet surgery.
Wilson, she's cheating on you with me, Bora. She's my wife. My wife.
My wife.
See, that guy's lucky we're not on Netflix anymore because his car door would have been smashed into his brain.
Hey. Car doors and brains? No. Refrigerator doors and brains? Yes. Episode 2.
Yes. Oh, yes.
So let's get into it. Episode 1 of Daredevil Born.
A half hour later.
Oddly enough, this episode is titled Heaven's Half Hour, even though it's an hour-long episode.
Boo, naming.
Justin Benson, Aaron Moorhead. I'm very happy that they are the ones running the ship on this one. If you don't know their names, Harrison and I brought it up on the last episode. They worked on Loki. They worked on Moon Knight, which I think we all agree are 2 of the better shows that the MCU has given us in this Disney Plus era for sure. So let's get into it. The synopsis on the episode. Matt Murdock gives up the mask. Wilson Fisk has his sights set to new heights. Set to Jason and Travis Kelce. What?
Whoa.
So here we go. Ending another shit.
I don't think Wilson can get Taylor Swift.
Yeah, he's got Vanessa, and he's got to worry about whoever the hell else Vanessa's parading around with.
I'll be with you as long as you will have me, Vanessa.
Oh, one last thing too. It's real quick. Christian, we talked about it last week. Somebody else that is confirmed for this show, because we know Kamala Khan's father is going to show up in this show. Harrison and I stumbled upon it. It's now fully confirmed. Tony Dalton's swordsman from Hawkeye is confirmed to return in Daredevil Born Again.
This is a real indictment on Hawkeye that I don't remember his character at all.
He was the guy
Let's not
dating Kate
spoil
Bishop's
it.
mom.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I have a
Fencing
vague,
guy.
I have a vague recollection of him. Okay. Bad sign, folks. Bad sign about that TV.
Haley Steinfeld, I'm your father now. Hello.
Easy there, Josh Allen.
Chill,
Pulling
Josh
on
Allen.
the
Relax, MVP.
Not
Ending
my
another-
MVP.
Ending another shift at their law firm, Matt Murdock, Foggy Nelson, and Karen Page go to Josie's bar to kick back and hang out. Nelson talks business with Kirsten McDuffie, while Cherry celebrates his retirement from the New York City Police Department and talks about a new vigilante in New York City. Suddenly, Nelson receives a call from Benny, whom he stashed at his place after helping him out, but is now being harassed by someone. Nelson tries to calm him down and says that Benny is simply being paranoid, but Murdock hears that Benny is in danger and rushes off to check on him, which Nelson did not want to happen. Harrison, I may just be drawing a blank. Do you know who Benny is?
No, I think this was a original character designed for this scene setup, which is the last bit of happiness we are going to get from this show.
Yep.
For a long while, because it starts off with the characters' moods all the way up in heaven where Matt Murdock knows he'll never wind up. But after this scene, we dive straight to hell. Hell's Kitchen,
Yep.
that is.
So donning his suit, Daredevil heads over, and we get him whipping for the very first time. Like that was just like holy shit! Like they're doing it full fledged. The still shot of him in front of the stained glass window, conveying itself as a halo behind the devil. That is one thing overall in this episode, and I'm sure Christian, you'll appreciate it as well and probably picked up on it too. Just the still shots and the lighting and the cinematography of these episodes were brilliant. And I was thankful that Disney Plus allowed us to have those moments.
Well, listen, it's not quite Andor, but it can't be Andor. But I'm going to jump ahead to when he's in the street at the end. We get the medium or wide. I don't remember shot names well enough. And it's his black silhouette, and the lights flash red, and it's like red in the black. I'm like, this is Kyle, cue. No, Kyle, cue up the meme. This is cinema. Like just the like. We should on MCU lighting, and justifiably. Stuff looks flat as shit, and it's almost like if you're actually shooting on location, stuff doesn't look flat. It's also just like, wait, when you have people who use lighting and know how to use lighting and use color in a great way, I'm like, yes, this is just on a base level. I'm like I'm always willing to give a show more credit if it visually looks good. And right now, this is passing that bar with pretty much flying colors. I have some qualms about him fighting up the entire bar and the stairs in the one take, where it's like I even with all the flashing lights, I had qualms of where it's like I'm struggling to track things at times. But I like the idea of it.
Yeah.
It was not quite the one-take fight scene that we get in the Daredevil show from Netflix, because that was the staple of their show.
Yeah,
you have one every season, but it was still quite enjoyable to watch. And one thing that was also a major part of the 2015 Daredevil run was the fact that the showrunners and the cinematographers knew how color and lighting would affect the mood of the scene. And that show always had some of the best lighting, some of the best use of color that I have seen in superhero media. So I'm glad to see it carried over.
Yes, 1000%. So Matt heads over, but then He hears Benny apologizing to Foggy, admitting that he told the attacker where to find him. Daredevil rushes back, but he doesn't get back to the bar in time, as we get the return of one of the sickest motherfuckers in MCU, Netflix, etc. history. That boy Dex walking in through that fog was unbelievable. I was not expecting it to happen that early. I was not expecting it to be just the way and the homage to the Daredevil movie from 2003 where he kills the Fly, like just so good with that. And I think the only questions surrounding not only that scene but also with Kingpin and Harrison, you may have more to just like conjure up like theory wise with me here. How the fuck did those two get out of prison?
Yeah, I don't know. That's gonna have some. That was my biggest questions of these two episodes. How the fuck are they not in prison right now? It might have been during the blip, honestly.
Oh, true.
Like, it could have been because Daredevil, the original run ended in 2018, and there was no mention of
it's
the blip.
confirmed Matt survives the blip because the Echo fight from that series when he's fighting Echo is during the blip. So
yeah, but this is where I run into the question of, okay, so if they were in jail and blipped, and we're here now, how much time is this post blip? And this is where I'm just like, I'm hating the MCU right now because you can't do timeline for shit.
No.
I think it's the same year that I think it's 2025.
Yeah, so
post the 1 year.
What I'm thinking is that they might have been at a prison where like all the guards were blipped. Or like,
but then who got them out of their cells?
It's Wilson Fisk. He could just go boop and walk out. No, knowing Kingpin, he probably had the keys to his cell on him at all times, and was just looking for the most opportunistic time to just unlock his key, his cell, and walk out. And with the Bullseye. Anything he uses is a lethal projectile. So who's to say he didn't just like find a paper clip and just.
We also know Bullseye has added abilities now post season 3 of Daredevil.
Yes.
We don't know if they are going to retcon it to be adamantium because it was not adamantium at the end because Marvel did not have the ability to use that at the time. But we know Dex has some abilities, as witnessed by him getting yeeted off of a building and surviving.
Super Soldier Serum, anyone?
I also would not be surprised if that comes into play with both Fisk and Bullseye and potentially others to kind of like explain their powers and stuff. Definitely something to keep in the back of your minds, everybody. But Daredevil rushes back. He doesn't get to the bar in time. And Bullseye, right in front of a terrified Karen Page, puts one right in the chest of our boy Foggy Nelson. Everybody, let's have a moment of silence for the boy.
Oh, say, can you?
No. So we did call it last week. We did call that Foggy was going to die. I did not expect.
I did not expect it in the first 10 minutes of the show.
No.
I figured that would be something. The way that the MCU has gone, save that for a penultimate or a finale episode. I didn't expect the first 10 minutes. And that to me was like, oh, okay, we're fully playing into the TVMA rating on this show.
Yes.
We are going to have everyone who loves this character, this universe of Daredevil absolutely seething at us. And I watched an interview, like a press junket interview from one of the reporters from Screen Rant, asked the question, and it was brilliant the way it was like brought up. Is like, why'd you kill Foggy? And basically, I'm like, glad is not the way to say, but it's the easiest way. Like, I'm glad they did it the way they did, because initially, like, Foggy and Karen and all these characters were not even in this show. Foggy was going to be dead episode 1 already, off screen. And Brad Winderbaum basically said, we could not do that. Like, that doesn't justify the character. It doesn't justify bringing the show back. Like, if you're going to do it, it has to be in a way that gets portrayed to the people and they see everything happen. And apparently Charlie Cox was like involved in the process of when and where and all of that happening. So Charlie Cox, certified sicko, like all of us. But the way they
certified,
yo,
the way they did it was brilliant. Like, that is one of the most gut-wrenching, pull at the heartstrings deaths that we've gotten in a Marvel property ever.
and they make it agonizing, where Matt can hear it the entire time. Which again, this is me just going, good filmmaking, good filmmaking, good filmmaking. This is making me very, very uncomfortable. I'm not enjoying this, but good filmmaking.
And it
Charles
was
Cox, the one who said Matt should be hearing Foggy's heartbeat that entire time.
Yep.
And then when he does eventually pass, you get this gut-wrenching scene of Matt letting out all of his anger and all of his grief into one visceral yell. And that hit close to home. That was horrifying to hear.
And I think the way that they have portrayed Matt's like heightened senses and everything in this run of Daredevil is a brilliant improvement. And not saying it was poorly done in the Netflix run. It was so well done. But I think the way that they're portraying it to the viewer now from these first 2 episodes is such a unique and, like, I think enhanced, no pun intended, approach to his heightened senses from being blind. And I personally enjoyed the way that that was portrayed, where you kind of experience it alongside Matt of what he's feeling. And I thought that was a good addition to the character.
And it also had to do with the way that the aspect ratio worked in the scenes where he was using his hearing. Is it started off and you just have the widescreen, but it didn't fill out the entire screen. And then Matt zeroes in on the phone call from Foggy to Benny, and all of a sudden you zoom in and the entire screen fills up. And the audio engineers, just give them an Emmy already. Like, that's some of the most creative audio work I've heard in a television show in a while. It genuinely impressive.
And then
they gotta keep it up though.
Yeah. And then, like you said, he yells out in horror and yeets Bullseye off that building,
And
drops his
somehow the
cowl off
bitch
the
ain't dead.
rooftop, and the beautiful just drop of the cowl with the horn missing from it in the shape of the D. And then we cut to the new opening credits that still has the homage to the original. That I was, as soon as it went from the falling cowl to the ground off of a skyscraper to those opening credits, I was like, holy shit. Like, this is Daredevil. Like, Daredevil is back. And I know it was reported that they were using the same opening theme music and everything. There's a new take on it from the new composers.
It's like the
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it a lot. I like the sequence that it goes through.
Very Game of Thronesy.
Crumbling down and then being built back up, a la Born Again. I liked it a lot. It was really well done, and it's got pieces that you can dissect and see all the things crumbling, and then when they come back up, what they are. I thought it was really well done. So whoever created the title sequence credits was give them a nice little handshake and give them a hefty raise, because that was really well done. And on top of that, without the cowl, he gets spotted by Cherry without the mask on, and now Cherry knows that Matt Murdock is indeed Daredevil. And then on the Wilson Fisk side of things, he decided to distance himself from crime, check in with his wife Vanessa, who had been running Kingpin's empire in his absence, because the last time we saw Wilson Fisk was the end of Echo, when he was getting kind of the inkling of the New York City mayoral, campaigns and everything. We obviously know he took one to the eyeballs at the end of Hawkeye. So there's a lot going on with Wilson. He slimmed down quite a bit. He leaves the white suit hanging up in his closet. He's only eaten one omelet, one piece of asparagus. My boy's on that diet. And in the five families are at the table with Vanessa, including the tracksuit mafia from Hawkeye. And those members leave immediately as soon as Wilson walks in the room. And Wilson opens up to Vanessa about his experience of self-rebuilding. Wilson tells her that he can do a lot of good for the city, but that he would need to sever all the connection to the underworld he once had. And Vanessa says that she put a lot of effort into solidifying their empire, but Wilson lets her know that he collected enough signatures to join the race for the mayor's position. Also, in this sequence, we see for the very first time that they are indeed married, full-fledged, because Kingpin got that ring on his finger. Because I don't think in the Netflix series, like, it was known that they were married, but we never saw the evidence of it.
Well, they got married in the series finale, but then they got carted off to jail. So not much time to enjoy the marital bliss they just finally confirmed.
Also very nice seeing OG Vanessa, because originally she was not going to be cast as Vanessa. They had recasted, and then boom, brilliant job, Kevin Feige.
I had been looking at the Wikipedia page and like keeping an eye on things, just so in case further news dropped, I would be on my game about it. And I didn't notice that they had brought back the original person who portrayed Vanessa. And then when she shows up on my screen, I'm like, oh, it's her, it's her, it's her. I did the full Leonardo DiCaprio. Whoop, whoop,
whoop. So then we get the 1 year later. I had that exact reaction throughout a bunch of these first two episodes.
Yes.
We get the 1 year later little title card on the screen, very similar to Endgame, which I didn't think we were going to get like a time jump. I thought we were going to cut to Foggy's funeral.
Now, Foggy not having a funeral makes it very interesting for me. Because I've seen a lot of theories that, he's not dead. He's been put in stasis or some. No, he's probably dead.
My boy's got a whole funeral card.
You don't need to show the funeral. You need to show the death, but not the funeral.
Right. Yeah. My boy is unfortunately dead. But Nelson Murdock and Page has disbanded, with Karen Page moving out of New York, and Matt Murdock gives up Daredevil for good, starting over with McDuffie at their new law firm. Checking in at the office, Murdock heads over to the courtroom to testify at Dexter's trial, saying that no matter what verdict he receives, there would not be any justice since Nelson would not come back. Poindexter gets sentenced to life in prison, and Murdock talks to Karen Page, who walked in during Matt's, speech at the courthouse and everything, and kind of sped up his whole process as well. Page returned from San Francisco for the trial, so Karen has moved to the West Coast, which is definitely something to keep in the back of our minds for sure. Especially since Matt was out in LA with our girl Jen. Karen's now out in San Francisco.
There's a phenomenal comic run where both Matt and Kirsten McDuffie move out to San Francisco and start a law firm out there. But the key thing there is everybody knows Matt Murdock is Daredevil, and he's not hiding it from anybody. So keep that in the back of your mind there too.
Both of them are not happy with how abruptly their relationship ended, and Murdock admits that he cannot be Daredevil anymore as he let the worst happen. Wilson publicly declares his candidacy. Also fascinating that Karen had the missing horn piece and knew exactly what it was. I get why they made Karen move to San Francisco because she originally was not supposed to be in the show. So it's their way of kind of, okay, let's get as much as we can, with the reshoots and everything, and then we'll reintroduce her because it is confirmed that both Karen Page and Foggy Nelson will be in season 2. So we'll see more of them in season 2 one way or another. But Wilson Fisk publicly declares his candidacy for mayor, with his platform being clearing New York of the vigilantes. And like you said, Harrison, there's a whole comic run where he outlaws vigilantes. Also, Spider-Man just catching a stray.
Yeah, there's a dude running out here in a spider costume. What did Spider-Man do? Spider-Man's not Daredevil. Spider-Man's not Punisher. Spider-Man's not White Tiger. Spider-Man is just helping the city. He's not.
But no one knows who Spider-Man is.
Valid.
No, but
Tom Holland's probably sitting in his apartment with his GED books, being like, "What do you say? Fuck me, fo."
I'm just getting ready to get my college exams in. Come on, man. No, but what really stuck with me through that time, what really stuck with me was the scene where Karen and Matt are talking, and Matt says, "I refuse to believe that a tragedy made things end this way," and then Karen goes, "But it did." That was very cold from her, something we haven't seen from her basically in the entire original run. And it's interesting to see how these characters have grown over this year since the passing of Foggy. Not the passing, the murder of Foggy. And Matt's speech at that trial, his testimony, is a must-watch. It's raw emotion, and it's done so well. And I love the juxtaposition between him bearing his soul to the jury and to everybody in the crowd watching this trial go down. And then you just have Dexter sitting there, emotionless, unremorseful, just the killer that he is. And him getting 11 life sentences, as Matt said, not nearly enough. And I'm going to be interested to see how he breaks his way out of prison again. He's coming back.
So Sheila Rivera and Buck Cashman help Wilson with his campaign, although the former is concerned with how unconventional Wilson's approach has been, and Daniel Blake chimes in, assuring them the campaign is moving in the right direction. Although Wilson is unamused by Blake's eagerness, Wilson questions how could a person like Blake be on his team, but Rivera points out that he does not take much and has collected a lot of signatures for his candidacy. This motherfucker is such a rat, and I'm so excited to watch how Gandolfini's character evolves.
It is a truly, like, he feels like the most real life person.
Oh yeah,
where it's just such a political scheming leech where you're like, I hate this fucking dude, and he's been on screen for like 15 seconds. Yeah. Just a kiss ass. Just oh my god,
so stoked to be here.
He's a total, like, went to like the University of Tennessee SEC, like,
he is a trust fund Harvard baby. He got into Harvard because his daddy went to Harvard.
He's one of those SEC bros that wears a size medium Roback shirt and gets called out for it on social media by every girl.
He wears an upside down Alabama hat.
Probably puts his fingers in his drinks. Loser. I also have a theory about Gandolfini's character. I think he's going to end up working for Val.
Ooh, I like that.
Spicy.
Like, I think he's gonna work his way up the food chain of like the political hierarchy in the MCU and wind up working for Val and doing stuff alongside the Thunderbolts.
Yeah, I like that.
Feels like something that would happen.
So Murdoch is deeply troubled when he finds out about Wilson's campaign, hearing people on the streets being divided on whether to support his approach or not. And while some people are against a convicted felon becoming the mayor, others are just. Do we have a story for you?
Funny story, guys.
Record scratch. Probably wondering how we got here.
At what point do we? At what point are we going to unpack this?
It's so good though. Like, it's so perfectly done.
But it's so thin. It's so unbelievably thin.
It's so great.
Oh yeah.
But it is the thinnest. It is the thinnest fucking thing I have seen in a long time.
It's the thinnest of blue line.
The best part about it is that there's comic book precedents for this before the president even became a thing. Yeah. This is like, this outdates it, but it's still so thinly veiled, and it's hilarious.
Oh, it's so good.
Anyway,
others are dissatisfied with how things are going in New York and yearn for any kind of change. On McDuffie's tip, Murdoch meets up with Heather Glenn, thinking that she is a new client, but Glenn thinks that he was applying for therapy. Also, I was blown away to realize, Harrison, that the actress playing Heather Glenn is also Mother Corliss from The Acolyte.
What?
Like, main witch with the horns and everything. Yeah.
Well, she's gonna do a hell of a better job this time around than
yes.
Collecting stacking those Disney paychecks.
Yeah. I mean, she's going from possibly the worst show in the history of Disney to
Secret Invasion.
Yes. Stop.
Okay. Bottom tier Disney show.
It is the worst Star Wars show.
Yes.
Yes. Bottom tier Disney show to a top tier Disney show. It's the boom boom. 1-2.
We have only gotten Heather Glenn in a Daredevil property one time. It was in the Daredevil movie, and it was on an angry voicemail left.
And the less we say about that Daredevil movie, the better.
And the voicemail that gets left by that Heather is like, "Hey Matt, are you there? Of course you're not. You're never there."
Matt, hey Matt. Matt, listen, buddy, you're never there. Honey, call me. It's your mother.
When did Roz from Monsters Inc. infiltrate the
MCU? Matt, why can't you see how much I need you? Oh wait, you can't see.
Matthew Murdoch, you forgot to fill out your paperwork.
Matthew Murdoch. Wazowski. Matt, have you met?
Oh, it's so good. So Murdoch and Glenn then realize that McDuffie actually set them up for a date, being displeased with that, but the two end up hitting it off regardless. And back at the office, Murdoch chides McDuffie for setting him up like that, but she's not sorry and guesses that he will be meeting Glenn again. He then talks to Cherry, who works as an affiliated investigator at their firm, telling Murdoch that a lot of police officers seem to eagerly support Wilson. I wonder why. Moreover, Wilson's campaign seems to be founded
on lies,
fully legitimate channels with some investment help from his wife. Murdoch knows Wilson too well to accept it, but thinks that if he gets elected, then Wilson might be the mayor that the city deserves. Wilson advances his campaign, chewing his opponents for their propositions to merely regulate the vigilante activity, while Wilson is adamant on getting rid of them completely. And then we get the meetup at the diner that both apparently Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio campaigned to happen earlier in the series than when it was originally supposed to be in the original makeup of the show. They said it needed to happen sooner rather than later, have the two on screen at the same time. I thoroughly enjoyed where this popped up in the episode, and Christian, I'm sure as the film buff that you are, you enjoyed this scene quite a bit.
Now, my brain's fuzzy because it's 10 at night. But that wasn't the last scene, right?
No, this was about like middle of the episode.
See, I almost wish that there's a weird world in which I wish that after he won, we had this meeting happen, because I think that would be like a great note to end on, and just like them both, like him being in office and him being there. But I'm fine with it. Like it is ultimately something that I think is it's a good scene. I'm very happy. At times I do wish that maybe that change was made, but I think there's something about diner scenes in action adjacent movies, famously Heat, where you just have Pacino and De Niro, which, Kyle, that may be a movie I have to bully you into watching, but that's, again, a different story.
And that's what they've talked about. This is exactly where they pulled that scene from.
Yep.
That was like the influence.
Have you guys seen the scene from Heat?
It's been a while, but yes.
Good, great scene. Which funny story behind that scene, because of the way it was shot, and how shitty old TVs were. The two actors never looked like they were in the same shot, so there was a conspiracy going around that they never filmed the show, that they were never shot at the same table at the same time, which was ultimately false. But that's a fun little note on that. But yeah, just it screams Heat. It just screams Heat.
Yeah. So we get Murdoch meeting up with Wilson at the Square Diner after Wilson walks out of the building and everything, paparazzi around him, and everything kind of just slows down, and it cuts to Matt being there. I thought that was perfect as well. I was like, can we have a meeting? And I was like, yes, face to face, Murdoch and Wilson Fisk once again. So they meet up at the Square Diner, and the two catch up on their lives, with Murdoch bringing up Maya Lopez and an injury that Wilson recovered from. Just point blank, didn't she shoot you in the face? Oh, this generation.
Always blaming on the young people. Always blame on the young people.
This whole conversation was just so good.
So
from
good.
Start to finish. And I like that there's that part where Matt says, I was taught to believe in grace, and if you say you've changed, I'm gonna believe you. Do your thing. I may not completely trust you in the sense that I will be keeping tabs on you, but actions speak louder than words. I will believe you until you force my hand and make me not believe you anymore. And so that's where we're gonna go with this. Like, something's gonna happen, and
Wilson claims that he kept his end of the bargain as well. That the two struck in the past and had nothing to do with Poindexter's attack or Nelson's death. Murdoch wonders if Wilson is gaming the system to win the election, which Wilson does not deny, and only says that his goal is to give New York a better future. Wilson then asks why did Murdoch stop being Daredevil, to which he replies that after Foggy's death and he nearly crossed the line by killing Poindexter, he felt that he lost the privilege, which Wilson understands. Murdoch says that he is willing, like Harrison just said, willing to give Wilson the benefit of the doubt if he truly is a change man, but he will intervene in case Wilson steps out of line. And Wilson claims that Murdoch did actually enjoy hurting Poindexter, and adds that once he becomes the mayor, he will drive all vigilantes out of the city, so Murdoch would have to stay in line as well. And this storyline happens in the comics as well, where he outlaws the vigilantes, and it's basically like the street level version of House of M, where it's like no more mutants, this is no more vigilantes, and it's the street level adjacent to the cosmic mutant saga and everything, which is also very fun to like think about.
So this really makes me think that Luke Cage and Jessica Jones are going to have a hand to play in season 2 at the bare minimum, because in Devil's Reign, the story that Kyle was just talking about, one of the primary protagonists, apart from Daredevil and Elektra, who has also taken up the mantle of Daredevil in this timeline, is Luke Cage and Jessica Jones as a married couple, a superhero, crime-fighting married couple, and Luke Cage decides he's going to run for mayor against Wilson Fisk. So we'll have to see if that plays out. But another driving force of that is the fact that Iron Man is initially the one to be like, hey, it's me, Tony Stark. Let me run for mayor against Wilson Fisk. And every single other one of the vigilantes / superheroes are like, anybody else? Anybody but this fucking dickhead right here?
I also found it interesting, and it's like a line that probably not a lot of people picked up on, but I just was like going through it when I heard it, because obviously in She-Hulk, they're in court, the Sokovia Accords come up and how they're like out of date essentially. And Fisk bringing up how one of his oppositions want to create a list and register the vigilantes, which is basically bringing the Sokovia Accords back up. It sounds like Fisk is very anti-Sokovia Accords.
Yes, which is interesting.
Because he said essentially creating a list of the vigilantes is... He made a comparison to, I'm blanking on what he actually said, but what he said basically was like, oh, he doesn't want heroes or, anybody with superpowers to register or have their name on file. That's anti-Sokovia Accords.
Yeah. And I think he's anti-Sokovia Accords because it still allows the heroes to do what they're going to do, which is stop people like him, even though they're going to be more public.
And I also think he's anti-Sokovia Accords because he's got some sort of super strength now that we saw in Hawkeye ripping that car door off. And then that would mean he would have to register.
Yep.
So I think that's also part of it, where it's like he wants to keep whatever he's got going on in the MCU in terms of his super strength and everything under wraps.
Yep.
While still kind of running the show. Just something to keep in the back of our minds. So then we move on to the two parting their ways amicably, and Murdoch goes on another date with Glenn as he hears the announcement that Wilson has won the election and became mayor. Murdoch tells Glenn that he has a history with Wilson as the crowd of pro-Wilson voters celebrate in the streets. Wilson meets up with Vanessa, feeling distant from her, and says that he is aware that she has been cheating on him. That motherfucker is bold. Whoever homie is that was in an affair with Vanessa Fisk, that motherfucker is bold. And I'm not talking fonts. He is bold. Because if this was Netflix era, that motherfucker would have bullets between his eyeballs, his forehead, and then his head smashed in. I was floored that they threw in Vanessa having an affair in this show. And I was like, what a like subtle layer of plot to add into the tension between these two. And I'm curious how we'll get to, the end of episode 2 and everything with those two going to therapy, and how the affair and like how all of that could potentially unravel Wilson Fisk to become Kingpin again.
Yeah. Man, she made him promise that he wasn't going to kill the affair partner. That's not going to hold up. This dude is going to be deader than a doornail. And I think that's what really brings him back into being Kingpin. Matt's going to find out about this through maybe the Punisher. Maybe Frank is like, hey, look at this surveillance video I got. He's doing the same shit he used to do. Why are you still wallowing in your own self-pity? Get back out there and stop this guy.
So my other question, who the fuck is this Adam guy? Is he another Benny, like made up character for the situation? Is it a code name? Because I'm also thinking, is this Swordsman potentially?
No, it's Adam Warlock. Come on, man. It's we're about to get a close-in shot of his forehead flying back to Earth.
Get out of here.
No,
Because I'm like trying to think where swordsman could come into play. And I'm like,
it might be a code name.
Kate Bishop's mom went to jail. Like, she's out of the picture. Could this be who Vanessa's, schmoozing with? Another, high roller that's close to Kingpin. Because we didn't really get like a full-fledged thought process on who Tony Dalton's character was in Hawkeye. Maybe this is, part of the plot, and I would not be shocked if Adam is just a code name for Mr. Swordsman, which would be incredible cinema.
I agree.
So we get Vanessa asks him to not kill her lover, to which Wilson replies that he is not that kind of person anymore, promising not to go after him. Murdoch shares a kiss with Glenn before she goes home. Remaining on the streets as Wilson's supporters listen to his message to the city as he promises to be on the side of New Yorkers no matter what. And the parallels of color and just the camera angles of Wilson looking down from the rooftop to Matt on the street level, drenched in the red, Wilson in the white and the blue. Chef's kiss .gif, baby. That was amazing.
And I love how we picked up the fact that Wilson won through just hearing the TVs and the radios around New York. And, it interrupted a date. He's just like, oh my God, he won. And it takes Heather a second, and she's like, what are you talking about? No, he won. Who's he? Fisk. It's just really well done.
So good.
He who shall not be named won. Voldemort is the mayor of New York.
I mean, shit, I think I'd probably prefer Voldemort over Wilson Fisk.
So, episode 1 in the... No, go ahead.
At least he's up front with his evil.
That's true. Episode 1 in the books. I was thoroughly impressed as a Daredevil fan, as the original Daredevil series being one of my favorite shows. This served its purpose above and beyond what I even went in expecting. And I think, like Christian said, we've gotten shows start off with bangs and then they absolutely combust as they go along. I don't think this show is going to do that. I think they are giving the proper care to this show, which is a nice touch. Thank you, MCU. But as we always do, we give grades on this show to everything that we're watching. Here's the thing. Do we want to go in the direction of every episode grades, or do we want to do overall season grade?
I was just going to say, you guys can do what you want. I'm not comfortable commenting on this show this early. As the outsider, I'd rather wait.
I think that Kyle and I should give episodic grades, and then you, Christian, you should give your final grade at the end of the season as, again, an outsider. Just go from there. Because I definitely want to give grades on every episode as the Daredevil fan that I am.
All right, Harrison, I'll start with you. Your overall grade, I will pull up actually really quickly the Rotten Tomatoes score for episode 1. But your overall grade for episode 1 of Daredevil Born Again is going to be blank.
I'm giving it just straight up a 9.8. As a Daredevil, the 2015 Daredevil is my favorite TV show of all time. I thought that they continued on that story beautifully, and the only thing detracting was, the CGI looked a little janky at moments, I thought. But, the story was there, the acting was there. 9.8. Easy.
I'm I'm going to give it a 9.5. It was brilliant reintroduction to the show, pulled at the heartstrings, an early just casualty, a brilliant return of a hated villain, the Fisk, Murdoch face-to-face encounters. Everything was just incredible. So I'm going to give episode 1 a 9.5. And right now, the overall show tomato meter is at an 82%, and the popcorn meter is at a 90%.
Yeah, that checks out.
To which we move to episode 2, which was very much so courtroom, and like I mentioned at the top of the episode, very season 2 of Daredevil on Netflix, where you get the courtroom stuff, you get a lot more of the street level crime situations and things of that nature. But before we get into episode 2, I want to talk to you guys about our awesome merch partners, PHI Apparel Company. You want to rep StreamerSZN, you want to support the pod, PHI Apparel Company is the place to do it. StreamerSZN merch exclusively available at PHI Apparel Company. So if you want to stand out in the crowd, whether you're going to the movie theaters, watching Daredevil Born Again at home, kicking it with the homies, you want to stay styling and profiling, get your StreamerSZN merch, go to phiapparel.co, and when you go to checkout, use code underground and you will get 10% off your next merch order from our friends at PHI Apparel Company. Again, code underground for 10% off your next merch order at phiapparel.co. So episode 2, as an outsider, Christian, I feel like these 2 episodes kind of had a lot of like polar opposite approaches. What were your thoughts on episode 2 and how it kind of unraveled itself?
Can I make a spoiler comment right at the start?
Go for it. We're full-fledged deep dive in already.
As soon as those motherfuckers went into the subway, I knew someone was getting thrown in front of a train. I
was not prepared for that whatsoever. When that happened, I audibly yelled, "Oh shit!"
No, as soon as we go down into a subway and it's like, oh, someone like some guys are messing with someone else, I'm like, someone's getting thrown in front of a train. Like like why else are you in a subway to open an episode if not someone's getting hit by a fucking train?
Yeah.
I was stunned. I was like, oh, we're really going here.
Yeah, we are.
I was like, we're really like in TVMA in the MCU. Let's fucking ride.
They pulled no punches.
None.
No punches.
Multiple yeetings throughout this first 2 episode premiere. I like the approach of this episode. I'm also glad that they wrapped up the Wilson Fisk like mayoral run in 1 episode and it was just done. Now that's like part of the plot that he is the mayor and it's not just a season-long thing of him running for mayor while everything's going on with Matt. I like that they did that.
Yeah.
And I think with this episode, you kind of get the lawyer, the really good lawyer, Matt Murdock, and him like kind of, being a quote unquote superhero in the courtroom and utilizing his brain to really like dissect the case. And I really like this episode a lot for very much different reasons that I enjoyed episode 1.
I mean,
yes.
one of my favorite bits of this episode is him in the judges' chambers making the white tiger. Our argument, like, yes, like this is smart. I'm enjoying this, and how they tell the prosecutor, who's justifiably a piece of shit, get fucked.
What really stood out to me was just the use of legal proceedings. And look, he may be White Tiger, but he didn't have his amulet on him. He didn't have his costume on him. He just saw a guy getting jumped and decided to go help. This was not targeting a cop. He didn't know he was a cop. But I think things are not going to look well for Mr. Ayala in the future. One thing about NYPD, you take down one of their own, they're going to come back at you with 20, 30, 40 times the force.
I do want to say off the top, we did unfortunately lose Camar De Los Reyes in 2023 to cancer, and that was at the beginning of the episode. It was in memoriam and dedicated to him. It's a bummer that we lost the actor and he's not getting his flowers the way that he deserves. But I thought he portrayed the character in the early go and like the introduction phase of the White Tiger character extremely well.
Agreed. Totally agree.
Here.
So as Christian mentioned, we the victory lap for Fisk. He's projecting himself throughout Times Square and everything on New Year's Eve. And we get a bystander named Hector Ayala de los Reyes, who witnesses a man being beaten by two thugs in the subway. And Ayala intervenes and expertly dispatches the criminals, with one accidentally, air quote, jumping right in front of a moving train. The other pulls a gun on Ayala and identifies himself as a police officer, revealing that what Ayala just prevented wasn't just a mugging, it was police brutality. The NYPD, especially its crooked members, don't take too kindly to cop killers, and Matt Murdock can't help but overhear how Ayala is being beaten into submission. And against the advice of his firm partner, Kirsten McDuffie, Murdock decides to act as Ayala's legal counsel free of charge. Very OG Daredevil Netflix working for free as Matt Murdock.
Yes. It really reminds me of when they first met Karen Page. I'm just looking for someone innocent and cut to her covered in Daniel's blood, and then speaking to her in the holding cell. Listen, I didn't do it. I didn't know he was a cop. His heart rate's staying steady. And then Matt asks, is there anything you're hiding from me? And that's when Hector's heartbeat starts racing. And then it's like, oh, who is this guy?
And again, that's such a subtle added detail to Matt's enhanced senses that you get in this show that I don't think we would have really gotten that portrayal in the original run of Daredevil, of like him hearing the heartbeat accelerate and get faster and faster. I think that's such a key detail to this show that some people will criticize, some people won't. I think it's a great addition to have just the wherewithal and the heightened senses be like at the forefront and in the viewer's face.
Mm-hmm.
So while Murdock is working on his defense case, Wilson Fisk has begun putting his pieces into place for his new administration as New York's mayor. While he has begun trying to make himself a champion of the people, such as getting traffic moving by ordering a hole plugged up ASAP, his current administration hasn't been without its bumps. Also, Wilson Fisk's dad just loves old Mr. LaGuardia.
Yeah, which is certainly one of the politicians you can be a fan of, not without his controversies.
I mean, it's better than probably the last 4 or 5 mayors of New York.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, does Bloomberg fall in that span?
Ooh. I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, all the ones aside from Bloomberg.
Yeah.
One primary concern is Fisk's wife, Vanessa, who seems more interested in running a criminal empire than she is in appearing publicly with the new mayor. This leads Fisk's campaign to try and improve the former Kingpin's public image, starting with giving him an interview with a young freelance reporter named BB Urick. Now, at first, I didn't realize who BB was going to be until that name drop happened, and my jaw dropped.
Yeah.
When she said she was named after her uncle, and then Fisk says Ben Urick, which, Christian, I wish you had the context for this because it's so good. And Fisk says he was a great journalist. I wanted to fucking strangle that motherfucker. I was like, you know what you did. Keep that man's name out your fucking mouth.
Yeah, that But that was such good writing there too.
Oh, so good.
And does BB know that Wilson Fisk is the reason that her
I
uncle
don't
is
think
dead?
so. I don't think so.
I don't think so either. Because she's still portraying Fisk in a semi-positive light through her series. If she knew that Wilson Fisk was the murderer of Ben Urich, I think we're
Full
looking at
180.
It was so, my heart dropped when
Yeah.
that scene. I was like, this is so good. This is peak.
peak
Also,
cinema.
I love BB's character. I think she is probably one of the more underrated new additions to the show. And I think she's going to be very important as this show unfolds, because she is kind of that new media man on the street type of reporter. And I really like her character. I like the way it's being portrayed. And I also laugh because I was watching New Rockstars Breakdown, and I forget who said it, but one of the hosts said, we are one step away from some motherfucker asking Wilson Fisk to go on a podcast.
Joe Rogan in the MCU.
But no, in the comics, Ben Urich is an irreplaceable part of the Daredevil mythos. He is so important. He's one of Matt's closest confidants. He is the one who figured out that Matt Murdock is Daredevil. Matt Murdock didn't tell him. He just did some investigative reporting and figured out that Matt was Daredevil. And he's his man on the street. He's the guy Matt goes to in order to get the latest scoops on which new criminal empire is trying to take over the city. Is it the Hand? Is it the Kingpin's empire? Is Bullseye back out on the streets? Who is the biggest danger to Hell's Kitchen and New York right now? And Ben will be able to tell you. So I'm excited to start seeing BB and Matt interact.
And on top of that, now Fisk, anytime he talks to BB, has to be on his P's and Q's to not slip up. So to watch that and all of the kind of like holding back Wilson Fisk is going to have to do when he's around BB is going to be fascinating. I think it's also interesting that BB has a relationship with Gandolfini's character, the way that they do. And I don't know if that's, I think it's more BB is just like playing into it to get the access, while Gandolfini feels like he's like trying to shoot a shot with her.
Oh, most definitely.
He's like, give me the phone. Give me the phone.
He doesn't have a chance in hell with her.
And another problem that Fisk moves to quash is the insubordination of the current NYPD police commissioner, Michael Gaston. Just the whole interaction between those two. And then Philadelphia gets mentioned. And that's when I went full Leo meme and I said, we're mentioned. I loved that we had somebody stand up to Wilson Fisk the way that they did. Yep. And then already 10 steps ahead, Wilson Fisk was like, hey, dummy, I know you have a secret kid in Philadelphia. You better get your act together.
Yeah. And what really made me hate Wilson Fisk even more is that he trashed our city's pride and joy, the good old cheesesteak, because he's a big, dumb, doofus piece of shit.
Well, he's a big, dumb doofus because he went to Geno's.
Yeah. No, he didn't. He said he went to DeSandro's, which is clearly meant to be on D'Alessandro's.
Right.
But, like, D'Alessandro's is in Philly. If you wanted to get somewhere outside of Philly, you could have gone to,
he went to D'Alessandro's in King of Prussia.
Yeah. No. D'Alessandro's is not in King of Prussia.
That motherfucker went to the King of Prussia mall to go get a cheesesteak.
Yeah, and you wonder why it's bad? Like, if you're not getting your cheesesteak from someone who looks like they want to kill you for walking into their store, you're doing it wrong.
First of all, that cheesesteak is freezing cold as shit at that point.
Yeah. You take it all the way up to New York? Are you kidding me?
Like, hold on. First of all, like, at least if you actually got it at, like, Geno's or Jim's, you could then bolt down the, like, even if you went to Philly International,
Yeah.
but or hell, if you went to fucking 30th Street Station, you could get to New York quicker than going to fucking King of Prussia, then getting on the turnpike, then getting over the bridge. Like, what the fuck are we talking about here?
That was unbelievable that Philadelphia got mentioned, and I was like, oh,
And we
Super
got
Bowl
a spread.
I was like, do the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles exist in the MCU now?
Ooh.
Ooh. Hey, go Birds.
Go Birds. Go Birds, Kingpin, dickhead.
Hey, Fisk, what you doing down in Philadelphia, huh?
Yeah, thanks for Saquon Barkley, Fisk.
Do you think you're better than me?
Hey, you gonna bring Joe Shane into your cabinet?
Do you think Wilson Fisk watched Hard Knocks?
Did he have eyes at that point?
That's a good point.
Maybe the reason he's running for mayor is because he's so mad at Joe Shane.
I may be an irredeemable piece of shit, but I love this city.
And I hate Joe Shane.
I love the Giants. Go Mets.
My first order of business is making sure Mr. Mara fires Joe Shane.
We're not talking about the money, Spider-Man. We're talking about the Mets, baby. Go Mets.
We're talking about playoffs.
Wilson Fisk is just in a suite at fucking Citi Field with Steve Cohen.
So Steve.
This grimace fellow. I like him.
Kingpin's criminal empire is how Juan Soto got signed.
So Steve, I need your help to fund the subway system.
Oh, it's good. But Fisk tries to appeal to the police commissioner's good nature, but when all else fails, insert the Bugs Bunny meme. He goes back to the old me and uses some simple blackmail, like we said. And he's got a secret kid out there in Philadelphia, baby. That was surprising, but also not surprising at the same time that police commissioner has a secret family. And then he was like, "Be careful what you wish for." Quoted Jalen Hurts right there. So then we get the trial of Hector Ayala, and it gets complicated after a startling revelation that Ayala is none other than the vigilante crime fighter known as the White Tiger, El Tigre Blanco. Apart from making Matt's defense of Ayala that much harder, this stirs a crisis of faith within Murdoch as he tries to figure out what the best course of action is next. A talk with his new girlfriend, Heather Glenn, might help, but she has some new clients for her next therapy session. And of course,
Senor Mayor,
you know who that is. So Fisk has been gone for several months after his ordeal with Maya Lopez, and that put quite a strain on his relationship with Vanessa. And Wilson, being the changed member of society that he is, or at least how he wants to be perceived, has opted for them to go to couples counseling. And it just so happens that Heather is the therapist they decide to see. Because obviously Fisk's right-hand man goes to Heather's book signing, gets the signature, gets the information. There's your therapist. We also see that young teen who asks for help from Heather. That is going to be one of our side villains or main villains in this series, known as Muse, who is inspired by Banksy, who is one of the most dubious and vile villains in the Daredevil universe. Christian, do you have any idea about Muse whatsoever?
No, but the idea of Banksy as a villain has me confused.
So he's Banksy inspired because he is like a graffiti artist, but the quote unquote paint that he is using is the blood of his victims.
Ah, okay. Makes sense.
Motherfucker. So
he's
makes
a
sense.
twisted motherfucker. And that is the young kid that goes up to Heather and says, "I need help. I'm a fan of your work. I'm terrified for Heather that Muse is now one of her clients.
I am so scared we're gonna get a fridging situation here. And
Yep.
Christian, do you know what fridging is?
Putting someone on ice.
Yeah, well, yeah,
It's one way to put it.
Okay, yeah. Then I have a concept. If it's the same thing,
it stems from mid '90s Green Lantern comics, in which it was Kyle Rayner was the Green Lantern, and he was going out with this girl, and things were going really well, and then he comes back to his apartment one night, and she's dead in his fridge.
Jesus Christ!
So that is where the concept of fridging came into play. So I'm so scared they're going to fridge Heather.
I'm terrified. While the fish try to work out their differences, Matt is able to track down the key witness in Hector Ayala's case, and unfortunately for him, some corrupt cops involved with the case also show up, and curiously enough, one of them has a tattoo of the Punisher's logo with an American flag on it. I love that they said, we're just going to go there. We're going to do it.
Just throw that in there.
Throw that in there because the creator of the Punisher, the character themselves, hates that the Punisher logo is like virtue signaled the way that it is amongst that sector of society. Because plot twist for all you bozos, dipshits, and dumbasses out there, the Punisher hates cops.
Yes. More specifically, he hates corrupt cops doing the things that he does.
It is a true like how do I want to put this? It is a true like, oh, this idiot cop votes red moment.
Mm-hmm.
where it's like like someone's playing Fortunate Son at their rally and they don't understand the meaning of Fortunate Son moment.
No, it's Fortunate Son. It's America. Woo!
It's born in the USA. Yeah, sir. That doesn't mean what you think it means.
I'm gonna rage against the machine.
Yep.
Even worse.
They're raging against.
They're raging against a government machine, brother.
You fucking
you
dipshits.
mean me? I'm the machine they're raging against?
When they did that reveal of the tattoo,
Surprise Pikachu face?
When they did the tattoo reveal, I was like, oh, let's fucking go. Let's just dive all the way into this shit. It's gonna be magnificent. Frank's never gonna get to meet that guy. No, never meet your heroes, kids. Because the scuffle ensues and Matt Murdock is forced to let the devil out, leading to one of the most gruesome and badass fight scenes we've seen in the MCU proper. I don't know if those guys are dead, but there was a lot of cracking and breaking and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, if the one whose head got hit on the fridge about 1 billion times isn't dead, he's either in a coma for 15 years or will have the worst concussion in human history.
The guy who had his arm compound broken, he's probably still alive, but he's in a lot of pain by now. That other dude had his neck broken.
I also saw this on Twitter, and I love this thought process when everything's going on and Matt is just saying, you don't want to do this. You don't want to do this. Someone pointed out on Twitter saying, was that not only Matt saying it to those cops, but also Matt saying that to himself?
Yes, and yes. Yes, and yes.
Himself, yeah. Like he was like, come on, Matt, you don't want to do it this time. You fought so hard to get out of this life. Do not throw it away for these two bozos. And then the gun comes into play and it's like, oh shit, I gotta do this.
See, and here's the funniest thing and most ironic thing about this. If that one cop isn't dead, Matt's in the exact same scenario as White Tiger.
Yeah.
where it's word on word, and Lord knows there ain't security cameras for shit in that place.
So yeah, and then Matt gives the loudest yell, and then it cuts to the credits. Again, I fucking love this episode for a varying degree of differences of why I loved episode 1. Like I've said time and time again, this reminded me so much of season 2 of Daredevil, which everyone likes to shit on for some reason, and I genuinely love season 2. I love season 2 of Daredevil.
The only issue with season 2 was they fumbled the hand plot line.
Sure.
But like the Punisher stuff,
beautiful. And this show really dives into the street level of stuff from Matt Murdock perspective, from Daredevil perspective, and I just really am stoked with the direction that this show is trending. Now, I am going to be chomping at the bit because next week we only get one episode, and I'm like, God damn it, I need more. But I think for a 2-episode premiere, the way that each episode bled into the other, and the way that this premiere was, written, portrayed, produced, I thoroughly impressed, and I think post Endgame, it's one of, if not the best premiere we've gotten from an MCU project.
Yes. And that says a lot because the Loki and WandaVision premieres and the Moon Knight premiere were all very fun.
Hey, I'll even, actually, as the show ended, that Secret Invasion premiere was good.
Yes, yes.
And now I think that premiere could have been even better with some editing changes, but that's besides the point.
Yes.
But this 2-episode premiere just blows everything else Marvel Television has done out of the water. Like the action, the storylines, the acting, the cinematography, the lighting, the audio, everything. The choice of music too, because after the title sequence, we cut back and Matt's listening to a song that's going, I don't believe in an interventionist God, but I know you do. Is that Matt thinking about himself? Is that someone else taking a perspective on Matt's belief? What's going on?
I like the record player trope with Matt.
Yes. He's an old soul. That really fits with
Hashtag Boomer Matt.
Boomer Matt? Yeah.
Boomer.
Oh, your best friend just died? I'm so sorry about that. That gets 5 big booms. Boom, boom, boom.
Boom.
Too soon.
Boom. The last boom's for you, boy.
We got a silencer boom for Foggy.
Man. I also really enjoyed these 2 episodes because as I was watching it, I thought to myself, I was like, I know this is an MCU show, but I also feel like I'm not watching a Marvel project.
Yes.
In all the best ways possible.
It was more of a legal thriller drama than a superhero TV show.
And I enjoyed that aspect of it.
Yes. And I feel like it's going to get more superhero-y as the episodes go on. And, we get to see more of White Tiger in action and more of Punisher and more of Daredevil. But I'm enjoying this legal drama right now.
Yeah. Christian, any final thoughts on episode 2 before we dish out our grades?
Excited to see where things go.
Very pumped. So next week is 1 episode, and then following week, Harrison, is the double episode again?
No. We get 1 episode, then the double episode.
So yeah, we're gonna be absolute fiends waiting for more and more Daredevil. But Harrison, again, you gave episode 1 a 9.8. What is your score for episode 2?
9.7. Like 9.8, 9.7. Like I wish we had gotten a little more action out of this episode, but that's my one detraction, because the action we got at the end and at the beginning really did make that a full action jam-packed episode, and I just loved it. 9-7, 9-8, 9-7. Just a perfect way to start off a new series.
I am right back where I left off. This episode also gets a 9.5 from me. I was just so thrilled to be back in the Daredevil universe subsect of the MCU. It was perfect. And I'm just so excited to see where they take us on this journey of season 1 and how it unfolds. And the more and more I watched these 2 episodes, the more and more I'm thinking we're not going to get that many surprise cameos in this season. And it's going to wrap up with one of Luke Cage or Jessica Jones showing up in the finale, and those characters coming in season 2.
Season 2 is going to be like Defenders Part 2, I feel like.
Yeah.
But let them focus on Matt Murdock and the Daredevil side of things in season 1. Let Daredevil be reborn. Let Daredevil be born again in season 1. And then season 2 can be his rebaptism into the fire.
Yeah, I'm pumped. I can't wait. Tuesdays I'm dialed in. Don't call, don't text, don't bother me. Tuesdays at 9 Eastern, because I am dialed in to Daredevil.
Yes,
but from Daredevil, we go to awards season. And this is Christian's creme de la creme, his wheelhouse, ready to rock and roll. It's the Oscars recap here on StreamerSZN. A lot happened. I have my multiple favorite parts of the night, and Christian will take us through in a more in-depth way of everything that unfolded. But the Oscars happened, and I gotta say, I can't get Adam Sandler saying Chalamet out of my head.
Okay, where to start? Well, let's start with the host. Conan, thoughts?
I loved him.
Same.
I thought he was perfect. Like
Harrison, did you watch it all?
No.
Okay. Just checking if you were going to be a passenger in this conversation. Okay.
I'm in the back seat. I'm going to vibe and just enjoy listening to what you guys have to say about the Oscars.
Sounds good. Anyway, Kyle, continue.
I loved Conan. I thought he was a perfect host for this. Like, I genuinely, I was talking to people about it. I was talking to Harrison before we started recording. It was one of my more enjoyable watches of the Oscars in quite some time.
I mean, it helps when you have the right energy coming from a host, where it's like he's smart and cares about the movies, and he'll take a shit on you in a nice way. But he also, and this is to the benefit of it, like won't be overtly political. Like he had the one great Russian joke, and the Carlos Sofia Gascon joke. Great, A plus. Love that. Throwing Jimmy Kimmel under the bus, even better. It's just like and then throwing in and then going through a whole bit about not wasting time, and then doing the joke of a song about wasting time.
Had a whole just ensemble of characters. Had the
Sandworm from Dune.
Sandworm playing the drums. That was amazing. Also, Not Like Us is halfway to an EGOT.
Hey. Yeah. I'm gonna go from the bottom up in terms of notable awards. Dune won visual effects and sound. Dune won awards. I wish Dune won more, but it is what it is.
I will say, not to cut you off, but from the Dune perspective of things, I find it so stupid that Dune got for lack of a better term, air quote, punished for when it was released?
Yes. The problem with Dune is it came out early, but also Everything Everywhere All at Once came out early. But the problem there is Dune doesn't have the actor narratives. Like, you can come out earlier in the year if you have the actor narratives. The problem is Dune's a director and craft narrative movie. And ultimately it got punished. But yeah. It won visual effects and sound, both very well deserved. Jumping to another film that wrapped up below the line, Wicked won costume design and production design, both very well deserved. Because those aren't the things I have the issue with in that movie. Cough cough lightning, cough cough lighting, cough cough directing. The Substance won makeup and hairstyling, great job. If you've seen that movie, totally deserved it. The song from Amelia Perez won Best Song in a very bad Best Song movie year. Shrug, whatever. The Brutalist won Score, insanely well deserved. I'm not going to talk about the short films because the short films were weird this year. And now I'll touch on what probably made me the happiest thing from the Oscars. No Other Land winning in documentary. Do any of you know about No Other Land and know the story of No Other Land?
I didn't until watching the Oscars.
No. So, Kyle, what do you know about No Other Land?
Basically, the documentary was unable to find a distribution partner in the US, and I wonder why.
Yeah, so basically, Harrison, No Other Land is a film made a film that was made with film that was made by Palestinian and Israeli directors, journalists, a mix of things about what's going on in the West Bank, specifically centered in one of the directors' communities. It won at the Berlin Film Festival early last year, and which it had the psychotic moment of, in the aftermath of the German minister applauding, the German minister having to say that she was not applauding the Palestinian director, she was applauding the Israeli one.
Ooh, okay.
Because people got mad at her for applauding. And then the one Israeli director couldn't go back home immediately because his family was receiving death threats.
Oh.
And yeah, I got to see this over in Philly, playing over at the Bourse Theater run by the Philadelphia Film Society. Great people. I highly recommend that anyone who cares about movies or wants to see smaller stuff, go to one of their theaters in Philly. They are amazing people, amazing curators. They love to show older films. Just great time all around. And you're supporting a nonprofit where all the money goes back into keeping this thing going. And they've saved 3 historic Philly theaters from going under. So really, really cool. It is a documentary that you watch and you go, why the fuck are we letting this happen? Like, there is a scene in it where Israeli soldiers are being led by a guy to tear down a house and at a village, and people are trying to leave and everything, and they're trying to take a generator with them. The IDF is trying to take it away from them.
Mm-hmm.
and 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 multiple of the villagers are trying to pull it back. One of the people in the IDF just shoots one of the guys, and for the rest of the film, he's literally paralyzed from the neck down.
Jesus. Holy. Okay.
And yeah, it is one of the most enraging, depressing documentaries that I wish I could tell you where to stream it, but because no one's buying it, how are you going to see it? But if you ever get the chance to see it, please watch it. It is an insane piece of yeah, this is happening on a regular basis, and we're just like, sure, go ahead, keep doing it. It's fine. You're our ally. I'm just like, what the fuck? It'll make you mad, and people justifiably were concerned that it was not going to win because of said politics. Its biggest competition was Porcelain War, which was a documentary about Ukrainian artists amid the war. And the thing is, no other land was the most known of all of the documentaries. People have literally been talking about it for a year, so it had that behind it. But also, I would argue part of what helped it get its justified Oscar was that the last two best documentary winners have been Navalny and 20 days in Mariupol, which is about the siege of that. And it's like, are we really going to give it to a third straight Ukrainian war film? So yeah, I let out such a happy sound when No Other Land won. I was quite a happy man. Another thing where it was a 50-50, and I'm happy it won, was Flow winning Best Animated Feature, which, guys, it's currently streaming on Max. It's only like an hour and a half. It's a silent film in the sense that there's no humans talking. You have dogs barking and capybaras making sounds, which the sounds I think are technically from a baby camel, because because the capybara sound was like, that's not right. There's a monkey, there's a bunch of different dogs, and it's about people being able to coexist together amid extreme weather events as a vessel to tell the story and other things. It is really engrossing, and it was also made on a free software that all of us could download called Blender, which is even more insane. And it's also the first Latvian film to win an Oscar. So that's all really cool. It defeated The Wild Robot, which I liked quite a bit. A noticeable change that's been happening over these last few years is as the Academy's been a little more international, it's rewarded these bigger swings. And Flow winning, I loved Flow. I didn't think it would win because some people may call it too artsy, but I'm insanely happy that won. Speaking of things being happy that won, Emilia Perez did not win Best International Feature. Thank the fucking Lord. Kyle?
I've heard nothing but dog shit about that movie.
It's horrific. Kyle?
I have the post-Oscars homework from the one and only Carmen Bryant, my boss at Buena Regional High School.
What's the status of getting her on here to talk Wicked, Kyle?
Soon, now that our show is done.
Okay.
But I do have her takes on a lot of the big name films. Are you ready, Christian?
Hit me.
So here it is. So I did my post-Oscars movie viewing homework, and I still remain firmly planted on this hill. Emilia Perez. Hated it.
Welcome to the club.
The substance. I get it. Parentheses. It got way too weird at the end, but Oscar worthy? Nah. Anora.
Hold on, pause. Plenty of people feel that way, and I can sympathize with that point of view. I love how goofy it gets at the end.
Anora, it was but Oscar worthy? Nope.
Disagree, but okay.
Conclusion: Wicked, John Chu, Ariana Grande, Cynthia Erivo were 1000% snubbed. Don't at me. I will die on this hill.
I am adding you because John Chu is part of the problem with that film, where that film, craft-wise, is good. It is lit and directed like shit. I will give credit to the actors. I will give credit to the craftspeople. John Chu lit and directed that movie like shit. If those things were better, I would probably have it as like a 7.5 or an 8, but I have it as like a 6. Because it's just painful at times to look at that movie. But I'm still here winning, which I will say this every year. For the last 5 years, I've seen all the Best Picture nominees. I'm still here. I got to see. It's based on a memoir, true story about basically living in the Brazilian military coup / dictatorship of the 1960s or 70s, I think. It's a slower traditional film, but it's important. And it really built momentum after Carlos Sofia Gascon tanked the entire Oscar campaign of Amelia Perez because no one scrubbed her Twitter account somehow.
What an idiot. If you ever get famous and you just don't do a complete scrubbing of your social media, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, see, here's the thing. I don't care for me because you're just going to see my deranged sports takes and movie takes.
Right.
Now, I may scrub my letterbox, but that's a different story. if I get involved in movies, I may have to scrub my letterbox of all the reviews and all the star ratings.
Oh.
But anyway,
tired scrubbing your social media, wired scrubbing your letterbox.
Yeah.
I gotta make the Winnie the Pooh meme with that.
Conclave winning screenplay. It was a bad year for adapted screenplay. Nickel Boys was probably the next best one. Some people would argue it should be first. I won't argue against that. Nickel Boys wasn't fully my bag, but that's because of how it was shot. I'm trying to figure out when I want to get to a certain thing. Zoe Saldana, one for Amelia Perez. She's innocent. She's great in that movie. She's swinging for the fences. I approve of this one, even though I'm like, this was a down year in supporting actress. Kieran Culkin ran away with this shit and continues to just be every Kieran Culkin character is just Kieran Culkin.
Does that next baby get named Oscar?
Probably.
What a fucking speech.
I will say though, there's 4 people in this category who I would have been happy with a win. That the one name that isn't is Edward Norton for Complete Unknown, who I think is fine. He's fine. Adrian Brody won for The Brutalist. I've seen The Brutalist. He's great in The Brutalist. It's a win. Like there's nothing interesting to say about it aside from him giving literally giving the longest speech in Oscars history, and then posting a walk and talk on Instagram the morning after.
Was it 5 minutes and 40 seconds was the length of the speech?
Something like that.
He told the music to shut up.
Which is a great bit. It's a great bit.
So funny. I laughed so hard. I was like, oh, he put the music player in their place.
But I purposely avoid certain categories to talk about the big A, Honora, winning Best Actress, which, first of all, Cynthia Erivo, you did a good job in Wicked. I still prefer Idina. You also are playing Alphaba in a slightly different way, which again, I'm as someone who's seen Wicked on stage and who's seen the movie, I have my gripes with that movie a bunch, but she's good in it. Demi Moore, the thing with the Demi Moore narrative was that she is going for it, which like yes, she goes for it, but I also feel like Margaret Qualley kind of steals a lot of thunder in that movie. And as soon as Mikey Madison won the BAFTA, and she's not a British actress, and she only wins the BAFTA, you have to go, that's not strange at all. And so I changed towards the end that to predict Mikey winning, and Mikey won, and I believe that's a deserved win for her. She is great in that movie. If you ever see an interview with her, she's like quiet and nice. But if you look at her in the Scream movies, she is wild and crazy. In Anora, she's wild and crazy and heartbroken with the like most Brooklyn accent you've heard. Which side note about accents, if anyone is watching Reacher season 3, there's a British woman doing like the most Boston accent you have ever heard.
The worst accent ever.
Yes, but I'm saying this British person is doing it pretty well. And then Sean Baker winning original screenplay, editing, director, and picture. Which I knew Anora was winning Best Picture as soon as it won editing. Because the thing is, it was polling like number 2 in the like press talk. And everyone was saying it's probably going to Conclave. As soon as Conclave doesn't win that, I go, oh, Anora's winning everything. And Sean Baker becomes the first person since Walt Disney to win 4 Oscars in one night. And the thing with the Walt Disney one is it's a bogus stat because he won like 4 different short film categories. And it's like, nah, that's cap, brother.
Sean Baker also did the traditional trope and went and celebrated his Oscar wins at In-N-Out.
So did the people from Flow, but apparently before going to his post Oscars party, Sean Baker went home to walk his dog, which is just great content. It's great content.
I also love that Coleman Domingo, air quotes for anybody just listening,
stole
Kieran Culkin's Oscar.
Coleman. I wish nothing but the best for Coleman. He seems like a S+ tier human being.
I feel like he's a very attainable guest for this show.
I think Jeffrey. Respectfully, I somehow think Jeffrey Wright's somehow more attainable, which is weird to say considering Jeffrey Wright's a bigger name. But I also feel like, given how our sorted pods have loosely associated with Jeffrey Wright, I feel like that's a higher attainability number. Because Coleman is just like, he's working because everyone loves him and people will always want to work with him. So I'm not sure if Coleman has the time to talk to us.
But hey, this is the invitation, Coleman. You ever want to come on the pod? Philly boys through and through. You're always welcome.
Which Coleman also has the greatest story of how he met his partner. If you guys have never seen that Graham Norton clip.
Also, I felt like half of Twitter on Oscars night came to the realization that Coleman Domingo is gay.
People are not paying attention.
They were like, I just thought he dressed well. I was like, oh my
god. Homies think everyone is Timmy Chalamet.
Yes. Chalamet.
I do want to talk about two just strange bits. James Bond in memoriam? Question mark.
Yeah.
That happened. It was basically an in memoriam, and pair that with the song choice for the in memoriam. Like, are you celebrating those people going to hell, or which Harrison for context, the song the Oscars used for the in memoriam was a Mozart piece called Lacrimosa, which is like the
that one.
Let me just pull up the clip.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are these people going to hell? Like, what is this song choice? Like, and they literally brought out a choir. I'm like, what the fuck is happening?
Also,
yeah, that's choice.
In poor taste choice of omitting so many big names from the in memoriam just to have them featured on a much longer list of in memoriam members on the
Bernard
Academy.
fucking Hill. Bernard Hill.
Like Michelle Trachtenberg,
well,
who just passed away like days before, obviously. Marianne Faithfull, Shannon Doherty, Tony Todd, John Ashton, Bernard Hill, Olivia Hussey, Eleanor Coppola, Elaine Delone, Morgan Spurlock, Johnny Wachter, Barbara Rush, Martin Mull, and Tony LoBianco, all omitted from the in memoriam segment.
Like, how does a publicist get in over
Shrek's publicist?
And this is where I do my yearly bit of saying TCM dog walks the Oscars when it comes to in memoriam every single year. Like, at the end of every year, TCM releases a TCM remembers video, which is basically in memoriam for last year. It's like 4 or 5 minutes long. And it's always just great every single damn time. And I don't get how the Oscars can just like never get it right.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much to talk about from this Oscars because there wasn't that much interesting wins, and you guys aren't psychos like me and trolling through this stuff.
So yeah, let us know your thoughts on the Oscars and everything. You can leave it in the YouTube comment section, or you can leave it in a podcast review, whatever it may be. DM us. But that is the Oscars recap. And now let's get to everybody's favorite segment. It is the Streaming Platform Multiverse news and notes brought to you by our friends over at Kenwood Beer, the official beer partner of Underground Sports Philadelphia. It's a refreshing light beer, just 4.1% ABV, 120 calories, just 8 grams of carbs. Go to kenwoodbeer.com. Use the Kenny Finder to see who's got Kenwood Beer on tap in the Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Maryland, New Jersey, and Delaware areas. You can also find Kenwood Beer at your local liquor stores in those markets. Again, it's kenwoodbeer.com. Must be 21 or older to do so. And please drink responsibly. Obviously, a lot of the news being the Oscars wins and such. But on top of that, Christian, I'm sure you will be thrilled to hear this. Disney's kind of pulling their long-form animated content direct to Disney Plus.
Pretends to act surprised.
They are no longer developing any original long-form content for Disney Plus. That comes from the Hollywood Reporter.
Well, speaking of long things, we are returning to the Odyssey Watch and talking about how Cosmo Jarvis is joining the Odyssey. AKA younger Tom Hardy.
AKA may have one of the best names in Hollywood of all time.
So, Harrison, did you watch Shogun?
That's been on my list of things to watch for.
Oh, you and Kyle.
I have
Christian Harrison has gone through the full gauntlet now. I don't know if you picked up on it. Christian treats me like he's the disappointed dad whenever I haven't seen anything. He's like, God damn it, son.
It's not as much that I'm disappointed as much as I'm telling you for weeks as the show is going on, and you just never engage with the show. And then I'm still here a year later being like, Kyle, we were watching ads for Shogun during the Super Bowl. What do you mean you still haven't watched Shogun? It won every Emmy and Golden Globe under the sun. How have you still not watched Shogun? Kyle, I'm shaking you vociferously.
Well, for a period of time, I did not have Hulu.
Fair.
So that was part of it. But yeah, Cosmo Jarvis added to the star-studded cast of the Odyssey.
Bong Joon-ho wanting to do Alien the musical. I'll take the meeting.
Ben Stiller was asked which song he put on the Oscars after party playlist, and he said "Squabble Up" by Kendrick Lamar.
Nice.
We have our release dates for Andor season 2. I forget if we had talked about it, Christian, or not. The season spans 4 years,
and they're doing it in 3-episode chunks.
Yeah,
I hate that. I hate that.
So April 22nd is the premiere of episodes 1, 2, and 3. April 29th will be 4, 5, and 6. May 6th will be episodes 7, 8, and 9. And then May 13th will be 10, 11, and 12.
I hate that so much. I hate it.
Harrison, I'm sure you'll get a good laugh out of this. Jeff the Landshark creator says Marvel Rivals players, quote, should get better at the game if my boy is beating your ass every night. Quote, sounds like a skill issue.
Let's get good or shut the fuck up. Like if you're getting murked by Jeff the Landshark, just get better at the game. Like it's not that hard. There's a reason I play Human Torch and I just get up in the sky and I huck fireballs down at motherfuckers, you know?
Wow, I'm getting thrown off the map. Get good, bruh.
Grow
up. This comes from Hero Mag. Robert Pattinson says he, quote, fucking hopes to start filming the Batman 2 soon. Quote, I started out as young Batman and I'm going to be fucking old Batman by the sequel.
The first statement has never been said by Robert Pattinson. I hope he gets on the Batman 2 sooner rather than later as well.
The Gorman Massacre will be showed in Andor season 2.
Yes. Insane. I am very intrigued on how that's going to be like brought to life because that shit gets brutal. The first trailer, we talked about it kind of pre-show. The first trailer for Guy Ritchie's new crime series Mobland, starring Tom Hardy, Pierce Brosnan, Helen Mirren, and Patty Considine, released earlier this week, premieres March 30th on Paramount Plus. You can sign up for Paramount Plus for free using the link in the description so you don't miss out on Mobland and a whole bunch more on Paramount Plus. Disney has gone 3 consecutive years without winning Best Animated Film at the Oscars, their longest streak in its history.
So
get fucked.
Was it Spider-Verse? Any of those?
How far are we going back?
3 years.
So what? Last year was Miyazaki.
Yeah.
And before that, it was Guillermo del Toro's stop motion Pinocchio.
Yeah.
And then before that, it was a Disney triple of Toy Story 4, Soul, and Encanto.
Yeah, because Spider-Verse would technically be Sony.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's what I'm saying. It wasn't Disney. Yeah, that checks out.
Christian, I don't know if you also saw we're getting a Marvel special presentation of The Punisher that will air alongside season 2 of Daredevil Born Again.
Yes.
Interesting.
That John Bernthal is co-writing alongside the creator of We Own This City.
Interesting.
I know Christian's going to get a kick out of this. I'm sure you've seen it, but on Jimmy Kimmel, Ben Stiller offered Barack Obama the role of voicing Loom in the building in Severance, but he passed. Quote, I get an email back from President Barack Obama. Hey, Ben, big fan of the show. Love season 1. Can't wait for season 2. Don't think I have time in my schedule to make this happen. Barack, what are you doing on a day-to-day basis? You don't have time to do a little voice acting. You got a closet in your room. Set up a little recording booth and make that happen. Long Legs and the Monkey director Osgood Perkins reveals what Star Wars project he wants to make. Quote, the collected dreams and nightmares of Darth Vader told as short stories.
I love Osgood Perkins so much. He's so crabby, and he's so just like what the fuck are you talking about? Like he's true no bullshit energy, but he's also like clearly such a traumatized human being because I've seen The Monkey. When you realize certain things about The Monkey and you go and you think about, oh, his dad was Anthony Perkins, who was a closeted gay, and his mom died on 9/11. And you're just like, huh, this man's unpacking a lot of trauma in his films, aren't we?
I believe it's Christian. You'll correct me as you always do. Naza 2 crosses 2 billion.
I don't fucking know. You're asking the wrong guy how to pronounce fucking Chinese.
It's the first non-Hollywood film to do this. 98% of the box office came from China, and it took 33 days.
Well, the story of that is 98% of the box office came from China. Just saying. Pull up the all-time box office. Lifetime grosses. It crossed 2 billion.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it hasn't updated on Box Office Mojo, but if it crossed 2 billion, it's sitting 7th all time. But all due respect, it's not catching Avatar or Endgame in my opinion. But we'll see.
This comes from Collider. The Russo brothers gave an estimate on what the run times may be for the upcoming Avengers films. Avengers
Too long.
Doomsday, 2.5 hours. Avengers Secret Wars, 3 hours.
Sure.
Whatever, man. I don't know if you guys saw this, but I chuckled. A Charizard-shaped Cheeto was sold in an auction for over $87,000.
Good Lord. Why the fuck are you paying that much on a Cheeto? I don't care that it's shaped like Charizard.
Was it Elon Musk who bought it?
Oh, that would check out, actually. That would check out.
I don't know who bought it. But it is set up on a fake Pokemon card, and it is titled Cheetozard. Happy Gilmore 2 reportedly releases on Netflix July 25th.
July 25th? Hell yeah.
Moving right along. We got some new images from The Last of Us Season 2. It looks beautiful. Matthew Modine has been cast in Godzilla and Kong 3.
We're still making these for some reason.
Hey, what are you talking about? The monster?
They're making money, sure.
King Kong Max in that here. Don't get it twisted.
So even though the film currently releases 2 weeks after The Odyssey, which is shooting with new IMAX tech, Spider-Man 4 is not currently slated to release in IMAX.
Wait, say that one more time.
So apparently The Odyssey is shooting with new IMAX technology. And Spider-Man 4 releases 2 weeks after The Odyssey. It is currently not slated to release in IMAX.
Oh, that would be wonderful. That would be wonderful, where we can go to IMAX theaters for weeks to see The Odyssey and not have to deal with Marvel taking over the bullshit. Oh,
Yeah.
that sounds wonderful, honestly.
This quote from GQ: Robert Pattinson no longer watches horror films because he gets too scared. Quote, I watched one recently, and after I kept thinking that someone was breaking into my house, so I was sitting on my sofa with 2 kitchen knives, and then I fell asleep with them basically in my neck. It was probably a squirrel.
That sounds
he really is one of us.
Truly one of us. That's all I've got on my slate. Do you have anything else, Christian?
Let me do a quick check of World of Real. Do you have anything, Harrison?
Nah.
Other than Harrison's over the moon that Major League Baseball and Demon Slayer have partnered up.
That was pretty sick. That was pretty damn sick. But no, I'm still just counting down the weeks until One Piece returns. We're getting closer. The 6-month hiatus is almost finished, and Daredevil. That is the bulk of my media consumption right now.
Is there anything worth talking about? Oscars viewership supposedly went up a smidge. I mean, that's helped by Oscars actually being on streaming now. Even though Hulu can't seemingly run a broadcast correctly.
I think Netflix, it's okay.
I mean, at least Netflix didn't cut off. At least Netflix didn't cut off the Jake Paul fight, like 5 minutes before it started, and then so.
The WWE streams have been kind of brutal.
And I'll be honest, I haven't watched a single one, I maybe watched like 5 minutes of one, and I'm just like, nah, I'm good.
Hey, they're cooking. They're cooking right now.
Oh, no. Let me be clear. I keep track of this shit from social media and from YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not watching the streams.
Fair.
I'm going to say this for reasons to get you guys to watch it. Sicario is streaming on Netflix. Please watch it. Great movie. Stupendous. Sicario. Sicario is streaming on Netflix.
Bet.
I highly recommend people watch it. It's by my favorite director, Denis Villeneuve. Also, Benicio del Toro, Josh Brolin, Emily Blunt, Daniel Kaluuya. Need I say more?
Yeah.
I do have 2 final things here because I brought it up last week, but you weren't here, Christian. I just wanted to get your laugh out of it.
Kathleen Kennedy?
Make that 3 things. Did you see that Ayo Edebiri is going to star in the live-action Barney movie from, I believe, Daniel Kaluuya is like writing it, and somebody quote tweeted and said, isn't Barney already live action? What the fuck did they do? Get a real dinosaur this time?
The satire writes itself.
For our Let's Feel Old moment of the podcast, releasing 25 years ago this week on DVD.
Oh dear.
An extremely goofy movie.
No.
I was for the clip of that too. I was for the disco clip on social media earlier today.
Yeah, somebody quote tweeted and said, "When I was 9, I asked my mom if Goofy and his family were based on black people. She said everything is based on us. And to this day, this is one of the blackest movies to ever come out of Disney."
That's awesome. That's genuinely awesome.
That is all we've got for you guys on this episode. Make sure you're following us on the socials at StreamerSZN and StreamerSZN Pod on TikTok. Subscribe to the pod, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts in audio form. Leave us a 5-star review. It really does help the show continue to grow. And subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, youtube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia. Leave a like on the video, drop a comment in the comment section, and click that bell icon so you know whenever new videos go live. Let's get the channel to 1,100 subscribers. We are 70 away, so let's make that happen. youtube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia. There's been another edition of Streamer Season, the exclusive streaming platform TV and movie podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. For Christian, for Harrison, I'm your boy KB. We're going to head back to Hell's Kitchen, celebrate some awards, and we will catch you right back here next week talking all about the devil from Hell's Kitchen and a whole lot more. But until then, peace.